Hi, I'm Marco Zamuner, winemaker for Magnotta Winery, and today we're going to talk about our limited edition Legacy. This wine is basically what in Italy is called ripasso. It's basically a wine that it comes from the use of Cabernet Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon, and the grapes are hand selected, very high bricks, around 23, 24 bricks harvest. The additional thing that we do with this wine is that after the production of the enotrium, the skin, the pomace that are left over from that process, we are using them to soak into this wine to basically improve the quality and the organoleptic characteristic of this wine. We basically take the pomace from the enotrium and we let it soak with this wine for at least a week, so that basically all the leftover flavor that comes from that process gets trapped into this wine. The aging, like all our limited edition wine for Magnotta, they're about 18 months, a year and a half, both hybrid barrels and French barrels. I would like to point out where it's not really fixed or mathematical calculation when it comes to aging in barrels. Of course, you have to taste the wines, and really every vintage would need whatever different length within the process. And now it's time to do the tasting. So every time we open a bottle of wine, we always make sure, in this case, because the wine is high quality, we use natural cork. We always make sure that the cork doesn't have any defects that mistakenly you might attribute to the wine. The cork in this case is fine. I like always to have a blank white piece of paper so you can really appreciate the color of the wine itself, its flavor, and its taste. So, like all red wines, you always most likely use the terminology saying deep ruby color. Of course, ruby is the color of the red grapes, different intensity, that's why I use the deep color. It assumes a little bit of a garnet effect to it as the aging process comes along. So when it comes to the color of this wine, of course, this is like deep ruby color with a little bit of garnet on the outside. Again, it's fairly fresh wine at this stage. It's not many years in its production. The flavor of this wine, like I always like to mention, depends what comes from the wine itself, what we call the base wine, and what it is, the flavors that you get from the barrel. There is a certain smokiness that we like to have with this kind of wine. We come from the barrel, which is from the heavy toasting of the barrel. So you have a much more pronounced smokiness of the barrels rather than have vanilla and coffee flavors. And of course, from the wine itself, there's a lot of red berries. When it comes to the use of ripasso and appassimento style products, you do have a lot of flavors that remind you of marmalade jams. So basically, you are able to tell the fruits, but most likely it's a mixture of very concentrated jam and marmalade of these products. When it comes to taste, the acidity, being an Ontario wine, is fairly high, but I would say that helps also the longevity of the product itself. And when you have a product that has so much intensity in flavors and also a lot of tannins, also helps sustain the wine itself, especially when you have it with when you're pairing it with the different kind of foods. So the taste also is very smooth. We have to remind a lot of times that it's not just the sugar content, but also the tannin, especially when they are well aged and well ripe from very ripe grapes. They have an impression of sweetness. And also because this wine is about 14.5% alcohol, also alcohol, ethanol, has a sweet connotation to it. So a lot of times the sweetness that you perceive in these wines does not come from sugar, but is very important in giving this very well balanced and smooth taste. In conclusion, this product, I would say, goes well with all kinds of meats, both grilled or stews, however they want to be prepared. I find that this one also goes well with spicy food because of the smokiness that it has to it. But in general, I would say that also pasta or rice that is made with animal products, both dairy or like ragu, like those kind of preparations, especially with pasta bolognese. I would say that this one, and also can be consumed on its own, just with hors d'oeuvres, or even just cheese and some cutlery, some salami, some prosciutto. I think this goes very, very well for a very good conversation.